Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your applause. There is nothing I enjoy more than a warm hand on my entrance. Welcome to Milou's commercial break. I have assembled some of my favourite advertisements and newsreels for your entertainment. Let's begin with one that's dear to my heart. An old friend, Miss Virginia Lachasse.
Created originally for a charity exhibition, the model was made from wood and composition with movable wax limbs, a triumph of imaginative craftsmanship. This collection of underwear and accessories is the smallest in the world, specially made for a fashion model doll. She's chic to her microscopic fingertips, but the bill for her wardrobe of dinner gowns and day suits would give many husbands a full-size headache. Named Virginia after real-life Lachasse mannequin Virginia Woodford, the doll was made to her own measurements to a scale of 2/5. It was even made to look like her. So now you know what the well-dressed doll about town is wearing this season, shown to you by two perfect models. Real-life Virginia is a model, and the doll is her model. We hate to say it, but that makes the doll a model.
What an enviable wardrobe. Good luck with packing all of that away. Miss Lachasse must have the most enormous box. Of course, no doll commercial compilation would be complete without the ultimate fashion doll, Miss Barbara Millicent Roberts.
It all started at the dance. Barbie, the famous teenage fashion model doll by Mattel, felt that this was to be a special night. And then it happened. She met Ken. And somehow she knew that she and Ken would be going together. So now Mattel brings you Ken, Barbie's boyfriend, with a complete wardrobe of perfectly tailored clothes of unmatched quality. Now Ken and Barbie meet for lunch at school, go to fraternity parties, and just relax together. Think of the fun you'll have taking Barbie and Ken on dates, dressing each one just right. You'll find Ken wherever toys are sold. Look for this special tag that tells you he's a genuine Ken. Get both Barbie and Ken and see where the romance will lead. It could lead to this. And remember, you can tell it's Mattel. It's swell.
Isn't Ken dreamy? Barbie is so lucky. Who wouldn't want a 12-inch boyfriend? Especially one that doesn't answer back. Do you like my gown? It's real silk, a nightmare to iron, but luckily it holds its shape because I have a mass of tulle underneath. Here are a few trade secrets straight from the doll factory.
Over now to Ashford, Middlesex, where every year nimble fingers like these manipulate 11,200,000 feet of aluminium wire into a variety of shapes. But how many people can guess what is being made? To confuse the issue perhaps, here's another clue. Well, if you haven't already guessed, the mixture is a solution of latex, to which vulcanizing ingredients have been added together with soap, believe it or not, to make it frothy and create bubbles. This process, using a wire skeleton inside a rubber toy so that it can be bent into any shape, is another indication of the way chemistry is playing its part in the development of modern toys. The solution, 50,000 gallons of it in 1 year, is poured into molds with the specially prepared wire and later vulcanized, which of course produces a rubbery effect. And so a new toy is born. Special pigments have already been dissolved in the rubber, but now the toy gets an extra course of beauty treatment. Today, these toys alone are earning valuable dollars for Britain, and they are, in fact, exported to practically every country in the world. The finishing touches are added by experienced girl artists using paint with a special non-toxic rubber base. At any time of the day, this room looks like a children's paradise, with row upon row of toys and no one to play with them. The idea of this type of rubber toy was conceived so that it could have a personality that was changeable according to the child's mood, and just as important, would be practically unbreakable. But either way, it does give some indication of the trouble that toy manufacturers are prepared to take to bring happiness to the children of today.
Now you'll understand what I mean when I say I'm wired. And it's not the caffeine. What could be more wholesome than Tammy? But look out for the horror movie opening to this ad.
Who is the girl with the twinkle in her eyes? It's Tammy, the ideal teen. Who's got everything you dream about? Who is tops without a doubt? It's Tammy, Tammy, she's the ideal teen.
Look what you can get for Tammy now. A shiny new sports car and travel cases like this steamer trunk that hold Tammy and all her clothes. And look at Tammy's ideal new house with its own snack bar, a ping pong table, and a patio. Like it? We'll just fold it up and take it to your house, along with Tammy's car and travel cases.
Who's got a house that's a dream come true? Traveling bags and a sports car too. It's Tammy, Tammy.
You can buy clothes and loads of things for Tammy.
She's the ideal teen.
It's not every teenager that has a snack bar in their house. It reminds me of a trip to Italy, where I spent many a happy evening in the local ice cream parlour, licking the nuts off a large Neapolitan. Now, let's see what Mrs. Diaz is up to in her basement flat.
Now let's meet a housewife who, when she's not sewing, does her baking the old-fashioned way. In fact, the oven works overtime here, because when she hasn't got cakes in there, she's using it for her hobby, making plastic dolls. Meet Mrs. Jane Diaz, who at her basement flat in Bayswater, London, makes these dolls from the putty stage to completed, elegantly coutured works of art. Mrs. Diaz makes the dolls in between the normal household chores and looking after her husband and small son. She works to a strict timetable. For example, baking time for the dolls is about 20 minutes. And the cakes? Well, like most housewives, she regards that as a professional secret. Similarly, while she's quite happy to give you the recipe of the plastic material used on the dolls, it's no use asking for the recipe for the cakes. You won't get that. Each doll is built around a copper wire foundation to give it movement, and so that it can be handled more easily. But in any case, the plastic used is so tough that the finished doll is practically unbreakable. The hair is generally bought from a theatrical wig makers, while other facial details and characteristics are painted in. Mrs. Diaz first began doll making when she was only 12, and her technique has since developed through trial and error to the very high standard she has attained today. Now, in fact, she has to be sculptor, artist, and couturier, for she makes all the dolls' clothes, too. The dolls are created from ideas obtained from books and old prints, but to ensure that she gets every tiny detail correct, Mrs. Diaz often spends hours on research at public libraries and museums. At other times, her knowledge of painting enables her to recapture likenesses in people who ask her to make models of themselves. However, most people feel that caricatures like these are the best example of her talent. The completed dolls seem to have a character of their own, each one a compliment to the skill of their creator.
Well, either that oven was turned off, or Mrs. Diaz has asbestos fingers. I wonder if she also does doll restoration. I'm currently restoring an old chest of drawers with a gentleman friend. I'm in charge of polishing, while he scrapes the varnish and wax off next to me. Another of my particular favourites is from that 1960s TV classic series, Thunderbirds. The puppets were reimagined in 2017 by Century 21 Films.
Parker?
Yes, m'lady?
Don't forget to collect my new dress for the races.
Yes, m'lady.
And do polish the car when we get back.
Yes, m'lady.
And tidy up the mansion.
Yes, m'lady. With your ladyship's permission, I'd like to go to the bank.
Very well, but don't dawdle.
Hello, can I help?
I've been sent this letter asking me to pop in.
Oh, can I have a look, please? Right, Mr. Parker.
Just Parker?
Well, Parker, I've got some great news. You've won the top prize in our Savers prize draw. Congratulations!
500,000 quid? Blimey!
What do you think he'll spend it on?
Oh, I'm sure I'll think of something.
Parker? Parker?
I'm sure her ladyship never expected to be endorsing a high street bank. Let's get bang up to date with a catwalk show from the capital of fashion.
Oi. Oi. 是 Oi. 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 是 Oi. 是 Oi. Oi. 是 是 Oi. 是 Oi. 是 Oi. Oi. 是 Oi. 是 Oi. 是 Oi. 是 Oi. 是
How amazing. I can't think how they get dolls to move like that. Imagine if they could talk too. Finally, a seasonal message from our sponsor, Vaga Jeune. No idea why, it's not Christmas, and we're filming this in July. Vaga Jeune. Vaga Jeune. Vaga Jeune. C'est moi. C'est toi. C'est tout le monde. Oh look, it's an adorable little village. And here are some adorable little villagers. Mother, father, Junior, and either Grandpa or Benjamin Button. Who's this arriving? It's a creepy old gentleman in a sleigh. Well, Rudolph has seen better days. Slowing down. Now, let's see who's been naughty and who's been nice. Hello, it's me. Yes, we've already seen you. Perfect. The can of tomatoes I always wanted. A book for Mother? Oh dear, Junior wanted a puppy. Let's hope that's not what's in this package. The hat. The hat. Take your hat off. Santa requires no hats. There you go. And a Nintendo console for Benjamin Button. Completely obsolete, but it's the thought that counts. Thank goodness that ordeal is over. Yes, just go, will you? What's this? Have we cut to another movie? Oh, I see. It's the back of Santa, off to terrorise another neighbourhood, no doubt. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I adore making new friends. Nothing gives me more pleasure than widening my circle. Good night.